Hey guys, it's Ed. This week we're making something that I've wanted ever since I saw them on our Haas machines, an accessory rack for the Tormachs to keep the tools that we use all the time right at hand. Welcome to another Wednesday widget. First up, what I'm considering an op 0 for all of the parts. A quick pass with the Superfly to clean up what will be the bottom face. And since the stock size for all three of the main components is 4-inch wide aluminum, that makes for a nice, easy setup for all of the operations that use this pair of mod vices. Card here to this project's page on the NYC CNC site, where you can download the F3D file and check out all of the speeds and feeds and the model in more detail. We'll be using the super glue trick for the top and bottom pieces. Card here for more info on that. And in order to do that in one op, I made this fixture in place, which has dowel pins for stock alignment and slots to give clearance for that backside chamfer. We've been pushing slotting harder and harder lately, and it's starting to look like the limiting factor for us is not having flood coolant on these machines. And as you can see here, things spiral out of control very quickly once things start to gum up. Cranking up the coolant flow does help somewhat, but that's not really the right way to do it. I also find that at times my dual fog busters will be fighting each other and blowing each other's coolant out of the cutting path. So we'll be considering our options there going forward. Back to our old tape here because I forgot how bad it was. I thought it might actually work better in this case, but nope. You'll see on the second one, I'm sticking with the powder coat masking tape. In keeping with the Kaizen foam and shadow board philosophy, we used a diamond drag engraver to label what tools belong where. My Superfly finish was not the best here. I realized later that I had a small chip on the trailing edge of the insert, but as you'll see in a bit, I got the chance to go back over it and fix that. For drilling aluminum in the Tormach, anything over 1/8 inch, speeds and feeds that work really well across the board are 150 surface feet per minute and 5 thou per rev. Now, using a 2D adaptive to rough out all of the through holes and pockets. then using the same tool and a 2D contour toolpath to quickly ramp out the profile. Still at max RPM, which is 7500, stepping down at 10% of tool diameter, and feed rate of 10 thou per tooth, which ended up being 225 inches per minute. I would back that down to 200 inches a minute just because I started to hear some chip recutting going on. The main limiting factor that I found for this contour ramp roughing strategy is chip evacuation and chip recutting. So when developing a new recipe, I like to push it until I just start to hear some recutting and then back it off a hair. And as always with machining, as stresses are released, smaller areas will be more susceptible to warp, which can pry that area loose when using the tape trick. The most reliable practice would be to completely adaptive away any small areas under a few square inches. Now ramping in a small slot for the ER collet wrench. This time we've backed the feet per tooth down to 1/1000th of an inch to help with chip evacuation. I thought that a parallel finish might look good on the bottom of this pocket, and I'm not completely in love with how it turned out, but this is always a good option to keep in mind for those of you who don't like that adaptive floor finish as much as we do. Along with its weaker holding power, you can see just how gummy the adhesive is on this masking tape versus the powder coat masking tape that we have coming up for the next part. Pros of this new tape are it sticks extremely well to aluminum and clean steel, seems completely unaffected by coolant, obviously has very high heat resistance, 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and when you inevitably machine through it, it machines away cleanly, doesn't gather chips like previous tapes that we've used. Cons are, it's a little more finicky to keep air bubbles from getting trapped under this tape, and the biggest one is we haven't found the ideal glue for this yet, despite trying every type of special adhesive and primer meant for this type of plastic. Just nothing seems to really bond it together. The only failures we've had have been under heavy cuts with steel. In that case, scuffing the surface of the tape helps a lot, but we haven't found that to be necessary at all for aluminum. Something else I did to try to prevent the funny business we had in the first piece was roughing out most of this slot with a 5/16 end mill and then coming through with a 1/4 inch to break through that last little bit of the skin at the bottom. But as you see, we had a little funny business nonetheless, and luckily it worked out all right. I made a small slot to separate that thin area from the larger section. That had the negative effect of not leaving enough surface area to hold that part secure. So, like I said, either adaptive this sort of waste area away or leave a couple of tabs to hold it in place. Last up for machining, we have the back piece, and I decided to go more traditional on the work holding for that since it's square and easy to hold on to. My favorite feature about our recently redesigned Vise fixed sides is no changing hardware required to go from smooth jaws to talons. Just pop it off and flip it around. Staying with pit bowls on the moving side, I'm not too worried here about the marks those will leave because they'll be on the bottom of the part and completely not visible. Again, using that trick of using a 1-inch gauge block to get at the machined areas of the part to probe off of. One of these times I'll remember to machine down a little further and give clearance for that probe, but hasn't happened yet. We ended up not liking the diamond dragged tool position markers and instead wanted to go for something with more visibility. So I mounted them back using the tape trick on a mini pallet and reslotted those symbols out with a 1/32 inch end mill and filled with Loctite 380 Black Max so that I could cure it instantly with Activator. This also gave me a great chance to clean up that iffy Superfly finish I had from the chipped insert from earlier. Credit to user I Need a Better Name on Thingiverse for the idea of a dual loosening and tightening fixture for the ER collets. and 3D printed an airgun saddle and hex wrench rack on the Markforged Mark II. I'll be redoing the hex wrench rack to only hold the 3 sizes that I actually use at the machine. The rest can live on my tool cart. These little improvements in convenience really add up over time and make your machining life a lot easier. And now that I've had this thing on my machine for a while, I absolutely wouldn't want to be without it. That's it for this week. Hope you guys learned something and hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.